And Francis Gashuri and Hassan Mugambi are there. Good morning once again. And we are seeing this situation and trying to contrast it with what happened some 5 years ago. But before I even go back to that, what new have you learned?
Well, a little more information is that we continue to hear more gunshots right here, and the security officers are telling us this is now where the action is getting intense because they're saying they have been able to locate the whereabouts of the attackers, and they are trying to close by bit by bit to try and neutralize them. So that is what is attracting all that heavy gunfire that you can hear here. And as I told you earlier, very many specialized officers right here, very many security officers around here, just to ensure that the attackers do not escape and they are neutralized effectively. There was also a loud explosion not so long ago, and you can see the firefighters are already starting to make their way here because the people who are manning this operation are saying that fire is one of those things that are likely to come up in the course of this operation, and so to ensure that that fire is put out as quickly as possible, they have assembled standby firefighters to be around here, just to ensure that any situation is dealt with as it comes in. And that is the situation as it stands here. But what remains unclear for now, Sam and Waihiga, is whether we still have more people right there. But one of the buildings that had very many people, if I get the pronunciation right, Grosvenor building, is where quite a number of people were. And most of the people who are making distress calls from early yesterday afternoon to very late this night were coming from that Grosvenor building. But that building has since been evacuated. It has been cleared by the security officers, and they're saying that that is the best thing that has happened in the course of this operation, because that is where very many people were, and the fears were that the attackers would narrow to that building because of the number of people who were there. But luckily, quite a number of those guys who were there, very many people who were there, have been rescued, and they have been reunited with their families. And so what the officers who are out here doing is to try and go combing floor by floor, building by building, to ensure that nobody is left and everybody who is still trapped can be rescued as quickly as possible. Sam.
Francis Gashuri, it's Waihiga here. And the last time some of our viewers may have listened to you commentate was at about midnight, before they retired to sleep. Maybe you can just give them briefly a summary of what's been happening throughout the course of the night. It sounds like there have been maybe 3 major incidents of very loud gunfire. And of course, it sounds like you're also saying it's gotten a little bit more dramatic, if I can use that particular phrase, closer to this morning. Maybe just summarize for those who are just joining us, wherever they are watching us from.
Waihiga, when the night came, it became difficult to go through the process, unlike what it would have been during the day. Remember, when there's darkness, you don't know the whereabouts of the attackers. So what the officers decided to do is to proceed with the operation in a methodical manner, going bit by bit without engaging in any gunfire until such a time that they are able to rescue as many people as possible. And every time we hear we have heavy gunfire and maybe an explosion, we were witnessing quite a number of people being evacuated from the building. And you cannot rule out the possibility that even the attackers were also shooting at the police officers and the specialized security team when they were trying to advance closer and closer to where they were. And there was also a moment where the lights went out, and we were told that's also part of the security operation, and no details would be given as to why and how the lights went out. But maybe the results are what we saw, because quite a number of people continue to get their way out of the building. And so that has been the procedure. And what we're told is that they are advancing closer and closer without necessarily shooting previously, to ensure that they don't, many of the victims who are trapped in the building do not get caught up in the gunfire between the attackers and the police officers who are trying to rescue them. And so, from what we hear and from what we are being told by the security officers on the ground, is that they're now almost assured that the 7th floor, where the attackers are believed to be hiding, most people have been rescued, and any would-be hostages will they will try to rescue as many as they can, even as they combat the attackers. A very sensitive process there. Even actually, they're saying it's a very delicate process that requires tact and requires a lot of patience, so that they can be able to advance to where the attackers are. But Wahiga, suffice to say that quite a number of people have been saved, and more could be saved even as the operation continues this morning.
Thank you, Gashuri. Just hang on there. Another quick question for you.
Right, Francis. Even as we wait for new information to come, you're talking about a tactful approach by the security forces, and it's just 5 years ago, September 21st, that we had the Westgate attack that, of course, took several days to clear. I believe more than 4. When you look at the operation now, it's not yet over at the Dusit D2 complex. But when you compare the two scenarios, how do you comment? How do you find this operation in terms of advancing to ensure that the forces, the security forces, are able to come through that and rescue the persons that are still being held there?
Some similarities and some differences, and fundamental ones at that. At the Westgate attack, we were told there were 4 attackers. A similar number of attackers are also said to be in this scenario. But compared to the response and the operation, how the operation was carried out at Westgate and here, you can say the operation here at Dusit, the officers have done extremely well. They have done it in a very coordinated manner, in a very organized manner. Unlike what we witnessed at Westgate, where there were tough wars and confusion and people didn't know exactly what to do. I mean, commands that were coming left, right, and center. This time there seems to be a coordinated way of going through the operation. I saw the head of the flying squad, Musa Yego, was manning the operation at one point, assisted by the commandant of the GSU at one point, and other formation, leaders of various formations. And you could see a very coordinated procedure in terms of how they were going about this operation. And even the decisions in terms of where to keep everybody. Unlike the Westgate scenario where we saw guys moving in and out, the officers moving in and out, this time there seems to be a lot of order, a lot of purpose in terms of trying to rescue as many people as possible. And unlike the many heavy gunfire that we had at Westgate that time, and even loud explosions, this time it has been done in such a methodical manner, in such a tactical manner, that you're only hearing such gunshots when one would say very necessary, and as a result of that, you see quite a number of people advancing out of the building. So comparatively, I would say the officers have done a better job here at Dusit than they did at Westgate.